What is this small capsule found among some of my grandfather's things? It's made of metal and very light, so maybe aluminum. The spoon or shovel is not adhered to the main unit, perhaps to be removed for use. I didn't try too hard to open it, especially since we're not sure what could be in it. But it looks like it could be opened. Any ideas on what this is? That is a carrier pigeon message capsule. This is a lightweight aluminum variation from circa 1916 to 1917. Homing pigeons have long played an important role in World War I and World War II. Due to their homing ability, speed, and altitude, they were often used as military messengers, and 95% of pigeon messages were received. One pigeon named Spike flew 52 missions without receiving a single wound. Another named Cher Ami lost his foot and one eye, but his message got through, saving a large group of surrounded American infantrymen. What is this tool? It has stumped antique dealers for years, and even stumped 4 antiques roadshow appraisers yesterday. It is 8.5 inches long, and the bowl is 2 inches in diameter. I found it in an antique store in Maine a few years ago. I bought it but didn't know what it was. I just thought it would be an interesting conversation piece. One of the roadshow appraisers suggested that the cleats may have been used to scuff a surface, and the bowl would have held a glue, which would then be applied to that surface. And the tool would allow for heating the glue when it would set up. It was only a guess, however, he was truly stumped. Does anyone here know what this is? It's a piece of an old carpet stretcher, patented June 26, 1860, by Henry M. Hartshorn of Malden, Massachusetts. According to the patent, the cup is supposed to hold tacks used to nail the carpet down while you are stretching it with the stretcher. The curved notch is where you put the tack when ready, then nail it down. What is the use of these numbered buttons on this letter opener? I found this at my grandma's. I think it might be some kind of counting system where you just keep a thumb on one of the buttons. I'm not very confident in that theory, but it is the best I have. The material is cheap plastic. The buttons are not removable but can be turned, and they are numbered 5, 10, 20, 40, 50, with 40 and 50 being weirdly misaligned. Does anyone have a clue? It's a Linex letter scale. This letter scale is multifunction, it opens letters, and there is a ruler side to measure. An American patent was granted to this design on September 30th, 1952, and was granted to Freda Duelund Nielsen from Denmark. To weigh a letter, you clip the letter by the handle, then you hold the bead, and if it is balanced, that is how much the letter weighs. What is this cast iron contraption with a cage and magnifying glass attached? I found this hanging at the old house we just bought. My first thought was, it could once have been a globe, and the magnifying glass was for examining fine details, but there isn't a mechanism for opening the cage, and it doesn't really show signs that something was attached to the outside. I'm curious as to what this is. Any ideas? This is a Victorian-style orchid viewer with a magnifying glass attached, for the reason that there are some varieties of orchids where the flowers are quite tiny. I think it was just a fad at one point. The way they have it set up actually makes the orchids look pretty cool. It adds more interest to an already interesting species. What is this wooden piston seen in a thrift shop? It's about 25 centimeters long, and there's an opening in the bottom, where the end of the piston barely pokes through when it's pushed down. I suspect it to be food-related. Any idea what this could be? It's an old wooden wine bottle corker from around the 1950s through the 70s. The neck of the wine bottle is inserted into the end of the corker, the cork is inserted into the hole in the side, and then the plunger is pushed down to set the cork. What is this decorative wooden plate I found in a thrift store in southern Sweden? It is made of solid wood and weighs about 100 grams. The carvings look to be done by hand, although the thing itself looks like it's being made using a machine considering how perfectly oval it is, so it cannot be that old. I also tried figuring out what the symbols in the center column stand for, but I didn't manage to find anything. I'm really curious if this is just some random trinket made by a hobbyist woodworker, or that it may actually have some intended purpose. Any help is greatly appreciated. It's a Greek Orthodox Prosphora Seal. A prosphoron is a small loaf of leavened bread used in Orthodox Christian and Greek Catholic liturgies. Before baking, each prosphoron is stamped with this special seal. This impression is baked into the bread and serves as a guide for the priest who will be cutting it. This item is intended for classroom or display use to demonstrate Christian Orthodox practices, but could equally be used as an actual bread stamp or present for collectors of ethnographic artifacts. What is this wooden handheld object with 3 holes and a flattened area on the top? This was with a few small wooden objects, like a wooden darner and a hand-carved knife from the 1800s. I am assuming this is an antique. I received it from my grandmother, and she does not know what it is for. Any ideas? It's a mid-century wooden top spinner without the top. The top fits through the small holes. You then wind a string around the top through the large hole and pull. My 62-year-old brother still has this toy. I tried it once and it still works. What is this 6-foot-tall wooden pole with an arrow tip and movable metal barbs? I purchased it from an estate with a lot of nautical items. Barbs move independently, but do not tuck all the way inside. It looks old, and no identifying marks I can see. The barbs measure 5 inches from end to end, and it doesn't appear to be brass. Any information would be greatly appreciated. It's a Hawaiian whaling harpoon. The movable ends allow for the tip to sink further in, and they make it difficult to pull out. In a quick Google search on the topic, it looks like it could be big enough for whaling, and I found a similar barb type in an article about whaling harpoons. I'm not quite sure what year this was made. I believe whaling was banned in the US in the early 1970s, so it's at least that old. But I'm guessing early 1900s. What is this thing that looks to be made out of some kind of brass and has some kind of trigger mechanism? The knob on the side of the trigger seems to move the whole thing up and down at the seam and has some slots in the bottom where something seems to come out from. It is also frozen. I can't get the trigger to move. It just goes up and down with the knob, and the other smaller knob does not move or unscrew. Any ideas? Please tell us in the comments. Thanks for watching. Let's make life fun.